Welcome back, YouTube. I wanted to do an update here just on the amount of wallets and the people that are coming into the coin before we take a look at price action, because ultimately I believe this is the best way if you're looking to not only have stabilization in a coin, but to also see some of those higher numbers. It's the expansion of the coin. I believe that this is going to be right up there, and it kind of comes in hand with utility, is because we are expanding the coin. And with these new wallets, obviously, all of them will hold Doge to some degree with the ability to either increase or decrease their positions. But typically, that's a more than likely factor that you'll have with Doge being removed from the exchanges. And ultimately, the more wallets we have, the less likely it is to return to the exchange, and that buying pressure then turn into selling pressure. So we see here, we talked about this at the beginning of last month. We're talking about we were crossing the 6 million threshold as far as for holders, and now we're at roughly around 6.53 million. So we're closing the gap in on 7 million wallets that hold Dogecoin. So it's really a big deal that the community is growing in the bull market before things have gotten really interesting. Obviously, we had a big month in February, which is our biggest growth month so far, with over 400,000 wallets in that month alone. But this is giving you an idea of the expansion of the coin here, and what it probably correlates to the explosion that we're going to have once the bull market actually starts running, and once we actually start breaking some of those all-time highs and some of the cryptos. You'll have a lot more excitement come into the market, and that will be relayed ultimately in price. So I think that's going to be a really big deal when it comes down to hitting some of these higher numbers. So let's take a look here at the overall price action, because they made an effort to push Doge down today, and a lot of that revenue was purchased. It hasn't closed yet, so it's still open, the candle. But that push down that they were trying to do earlier, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So let's take a look here, switch over. So they were trying to get us down. Looks like we were down to around like 16 or so. And let me move this over so you guys can see better. But they're trying to get us over to around 16 or so. And then all of this here is positive. This long wick here, this is momentum. This is buys coming in to push the asset back up. So all this here has been buying pressure. And so this is what I meant by in this zone here. If they're able to try and get it down, you'll see that buying pressure really come in. So we saw evidence of this when we had the last red candle on the 3rd. And then they kind of just flipped it when we were breaking into around the 18 range. They tried to push it back down. So right now, we're looking at the battle of around 18 cent again. So again, as long as it's below it, that still puts us in a great position as far as for that the undervalued aspect. Obviously, if you're able to catch it down here, then kind of like what I said, it just remains true. If you're able, the farther you are to catch away from 18, then more than likely, the faster you're going to be able to see the return on those particular coins, because the market has priced in that saying, hey, we believe that the price for Dogecoin is somewhere between 18 and 22. So even when they try and push it down, or if you see a lot of longs doing the swapping and there's profit taking going on, and the asset kind of dips down, it immediately starts pushing back up to around the 18 mark. So Doge is holding its own there despite what's going on overall in the markets. Let's take a look here at Bitcoin. You'll see similar price action here. Bitcoin is wanting to hug that 14-day. This is the yellow line right here for price action. Bitcoin is wanting to hug that 14-day. So you're seeing the great positioning take place overall, and this is kind of just playing out. And I wanted to take you over to see, because we're going to chart this kind of day by day. You'll see that longs are still piling into the coin. And I want to show you just how important that is when we look at the amount of wallet holders going up. When we look at the great positioning that's taking place here, you'll see that obviously longs are doing most of the liquidations. But if we look here at the buys here, as far as who's coming in, 5-minute longs are dominating, 30-minute longs are dominating, 1 hour. And these are all over 70%, 4-hour longs, and 1 day, obviously, still around 75%. So longs are still coming in. we are still seeing the position come in very fresh every 30 minutes, 1 hour. They're still taking those positions to the point where they're still pricing in higher Doge. So when you see the wallet, the amount of people holding Dogecoin expanding, when you see longs coming in there, you just kind of being able to compile information to say, okay, well, I believe the market is pricing in higher Dogecoin. Last we checked, open interest was around 1.2, with obviously options being the bulk of that information. Yeah, so right now we're at around 1.1. So what is that, negative 2.47 on the day? So yeah, around 1.1 while we're having this transition here. So the people are coming in. The coin is consolidating ultimately with the market. I haven't seen anything that is abnormal, because we know that this typically happens around the halving for Bitcoin. We typically see this sell off, and so the market typically gets really good after the halving. So you have a few weeks. So for those of you that were saying you're waiting on like payday and all that kind of good stuff, you have a few weeks. It doesn't normally take off. May typically, and I will say May, even though the halving is or a third week of the month, but I will say May typically is a really good month for Doge. So just gonna keep that in mind. Overall, the market, you're seeing red. So, and I like to post this just because I don't use a lot of data off of CoinMarketCap, but I think it's important that we see this, because a lot of times people zoom in just on the coins that they're holding. Well, oh my God, it's red, and everything's red, everything's selling off. So we have to kind of zoom out there, because a lot of times you'll see a coin can be up 200, 300% over the last few months, and then it goes down a few percent, and they're calling for the end. So we'll see there, but I don't believe that we're anywhere near the end. Like I said in my previous videos, based off of history, 100% of the time, the best part of the bull market comes after the halving, not before, right? So especially for the top 10 coins, because the top 10 coins, honestly, they suck up most of the free capital that's coming into the market. If you're after that, you're kind of getting like spillover, and maybe if you're able to kind of break out or get a bunch of retailers in, you can kind of pump up for a while. But typically, most of the capital is absorbed by the already like the larger capital coins, and so they see typically the higher runs here. So when you have like this period where everything's kind of selling off and everything is consolidating prior to the halving, historically, and by historically I mean 100% of the time, it paid off to be in those positions prior to the run. So I think it's kind of what we're having here. So you'll see last 7 days, everything's red: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, USDC, XRP, Doge, Cardano, and what is this? Timecoin. Oh no, Avalanche has dropped out of the top 10. Oh wow. So Timecoin is actually up. So that's why this is green. Avalanche has dropped out of the top 10. I think if Cardano doesn't get his game on, it's going to be next. Cardano and XRP. I do think Doge is going to leap XRP, but Cardano here is they've been struggling here with volume here for a while. Not even when most of the coins are pumping, like when the pumps that ADA gets is not correlating with the as tight as it used to be with the other coins. So we're going to follow ADA, but I believe ADA is at risk of dropping out of the top 10. Now, again, it's not the end of the world. It's more of a psychological aspect, top 10, top 5, big 3, whatever. But I do think that we're going to see, or at least work it out, it'll be historic when we see that that switch and it no longer be a part of the top 10 here. I think that'll be a sign of the times, because if you remember, we talked about a lot of coins, not necessarily like ADA and some of these bigger name coins, but I do believe a lot of the coins that we've grown accustomed to over the last few years are going to either drop in capital dramatically or cease existing altogether after this run. So, and a lot of that has to do not only with price action, but growth of the coin, which is why it's a great thing that we have Doge wallets expanding, because that shows growth of the coin. and you have new holders coming in. And obviously, if you have new holders coming in, that means that you can start to see price stabilization at some of the higher numbers. You'll see it'll play out as far as for like utility purposes. It really just kind of helps out because you'll see a lot of sell-offs if everybody's DCA, like right now, if everybody's DCA in Dogecoin was below a penny, it would mean nothing to have a sell-off because everybody's in profit. So who is going to, outside of institutions swapping and stuff like that, who's going to come in and buy at 18 when we consolidate there, or 25 we consolidate there, 45 when we consolidate there, if everybody's DCA is below a penny? So you would have to continuously be investing in that order for that makes sense. But if you're increasing the amount of wallet holders coming in every month, that means that there's going to be a base of people at around 18 cent who are comfortable with that number because either A, they don't have enough coins, or B, they're just entering the market. Same thing at 30 cent, 45 cent, for example. And that is what you have when you're growing a community here. And that also helps with corrections, percentage of corrections, where the coin consolidates in the bear market. All of that kind of contributes to one another based off of the factors that play in there. So even if you're looking at overall, let's say sell-off like we did in 2021, where a lot of the people were either they had just came in and the coin was absolutely going parabolic, or their DCAs are really low. There was nobody really in between. You either just came in, or you were buying at some of the huge like God candles coming in, or your DCA was absolutely 10 times lower than the current price. So when it became time to when it came time when people were panicking and selling, it was easy to make that decision to sell off because your DCA is so much lower. And you're like, I'm green anyway. I don't even have the best DCA. A lot of my subscribers have better DCAs than mine. I'm right around 5 cent, but I know the advantage of that. When you, regardless of the correction, you're always green. And I believe this is kind of what's going to be like that next leg up for the community, where the coin doesn't consolidate back to previous consolidation levels. So let's say, for example, we run to $1, right? And then we have 80% sell off, right? So what does that mean? We consolidate at? That means that we consolidate at around 20 cent, probably dip down to maybe like around 16 or so. So we don't see those numbers that we saw in the previous run again. So the people that kind of came in and that are buying right around, again, this is hypothetical, but the people that came in and kind of buying right around right now, 16 to 18, 16 to 20, if we go to $1, let's say, and then they have to sell off that normal 80% sell off, they're going to be right at home with around 16 to 18 cent. Even if they didn't completely take profit at $1 or whatever, they're going to be right at home. Like, oh, this is my DCA. So any other run that happens outside of this, whether that be X or any type of global Starlink, whatever, this is all green for me from here. So those advantages kind of help, and you kind of build as the community is building. You'll be able to see like that stair step of expansions where you're able to kind of build. Each bull run kind of builds on the previous one. So not exactly kind of like I guess like Bitcoin, but it'll work similar, if that makes sense. Because I know Doge is meant to be used as a currency, so I don't want to put that out there. That's going to be the same thing as Bitcoin, but in a way, it kind of works similar. So I hope that makes sense. The community is growing. Doge is doing absolutely phenomenal. I'm very pleased with the fact that there's a lot of new people coming into the coin. I think that means a lot and says a lot about what this run is going to bring. So let me know if you found value in this video in the comment section. If you did, please consider subscribing so that the channel can beat 100,000 the channel can beat 100,000 subscribers before Bitcoin gets to $100,000. So that'll be a great goal for everyone here. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section. I'll get to as many of them as possible, and I'll see you guys in the next video.